In-depth journalism in the Memphis community, the Daily Memphian is of Memphis, not just in Memphis, and seeks to tell the stories of this city. TheDailyMemphian.com. Truth in place.
I'm Bill Dries with the Daily Memphian. We record this Tuesday, June 18th, 2024, less than 12 hours since the Shelby County Commission was meeting into the pre-dawn hours and taking final votes on the county budget and tax rate for the fiscal year that starts July 1st. We are joined by Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris, and this is On the Record. Mayor, let's begin with your general reaction to the changes the commission made to your budget proposal. Can you live with the changes they made?
I'm absolutely pleased with the final product. I think it was a testament to the commission's work ethic and endurance, obviously, since they went way into the wee hours of the morning. And over the course of the process, I think there was plenty of evidence of their ability to collaborate and to compromise so that we can get the major priorities accomplished.
Okay. Among other things, the commission restored the funding for 441 vacant positions in the Shelby County Sheriff's Office that you unfunded there to pay for the 6% pay raises for most county employees, including in the sheriff's office. Does that change mean that you have to use county reserves to make up the loss of that money, or does it sidetrack the plans for the raises?
No, absolutely not. We intend to give a 6% raise, which will be one of the largest, if not the largest, raise in Shelby County history. And so I'm very pleased that the employees will see a 6% raise. And the swap that the commission executed with respect to the vacant positions for more or less an increase on the salary restriction is, a good compromise. I mean, it's a good compromise. I mean, if the sheriff really wants those vacant positions for whatever reason, I think that's fine. And as the commission and the conversation alluded to last night, it just means we'll go back to the usual practice of relying on our vacancy restriction. And as we rely on that, which is, again, just an accounting term and an accounting strategy, we feel very optimistic that we'll be able to fund these raises. My understanding is the commission suggested we start the raises in January. And although I would have preferred a more accelerated timeline because I want to make sure that our employees are rewarded for their hard work, I think that that is a reasonable compromise to start these historic raises in January. But yeah, we'll be able to accomplish it. And, again, the sheriff is the leader of his organization. If he'd rather have the vacant positions, again, no one's going to go in those positions. Those positions will be vacant for, many months and perhaps even years to come. And we'll have to carry them on our books. And that does have a certain cost. And so it's not ideal. From a financial perspective, but it's a compromise, and we can work with it. And there are other things that they did in their budget modification that will allow us the capacity and the flexibility to make sure we accomplish our top objective, which was always a 6% raise for employees.
Right. And for those who don't work in this every day, give me a basic explanation of a salary restriction. What does that mean?
It's the idea that from an accounting perspective, the amount that is ultimately available for hiring is based on your historic experience with hiring. So if you are an operation that historically doesn't use all the money for hiring, then generally you have a higher salary restriction. If historically you're an organization that uses all your money for hiring across periods, again, based on your history, then you'll have a lower salary restriction. So it's just the usual accounting method for large organizations where you never want to leave too much money on the table and where you base how much is actually available based on historical experience. It's not a political analysis. It's not a partisan analysis. It's just based on historical experience. And the sheriff has always, so not just this budget year, has always had a very high salary restriction from an accounting perspective, because historically there is not much net positive hiring. And so there may be some hiring over the course of the year, but again, it's usually not enough to replace the people that retire or transition away from that kind of career. So that's why, that's one of the reasons, one of the main reasons why the number one priority this budget year was the raises, because we wanted to try to turn that around and get more hiring done. And so, I'm pleased that the raise is still in the budget, even with the compromise that the commission forged, because that raise is critically important for us to raise the salaries of employees, to celebrate the work and the service that they've done all year, and to really be an example in the community that there is dignity to work, and we have to honor those folks that are everyday working Americans.
Right, right. Let's turn to the capital side. You wanted a 10-year capital budget plan to kind of better track and lay out the progress over a decade for three big projects in particular: the rebuild of Regional One Health, and construction of new high schools in Cordova and Fraser. The county commission did not approve that. Do you think that was a reflection of maybe their uncertainty about getting all three of them done over several years?
Yeah, I mean, obviously these proposals are really big proposals, and and it's difficult for commissioners to sometimes see beyond the horizon. It's sometimes difficult for anybody to see beyond the horizon, but we will get these projects going and ultimately done, and we will work with the commission to bring more comfort around the 10-year planning. I mean, obviously, we have to work with the schools, so the two high schools. We believe currently that the evidence suggests that the current budgets they have for the two high schools is bloated. And so we want to work with them to try to reduce some of the bloat in those construction budgets. And at the same time, we want to get Regional One off the ground and started. And so we work with the Regional One team to try to understand what kind of commitment that they would need. And so we were able to meet all those things through the compromise that the commission forged. Remember, the CEP change that Commissioner Whaley advanced is a change that he bent over backwards to work with the administration on. So Commissioner Whaley and the chairwoman, Ms. Clay Bibbs, have been working on that bit of the compromise for many days. And so we were very, obviously, it wasn't the budget proposal, but we were very satisfied with the spirit of collaboration and compromise that, that was a testament to.
Right. And your chief administrative officer, Harold Collins, gave some kind of indication that come November or December, you might be back at the commission with a budget amendment that might kind of put at ease some of the apprehension that some of the commissioners had about this, right?
Right. The current plan is probably December. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, yeah, but because you'll know better than how the money's flowing at that point. And is it also a matter of debt on projects rolling off the books and making room for new debt on these three projects as well?
Well, we have a new construction team right now, and that includes representatives from MSCS and from, our side. And we want that new construction team to have some time to work through some of the issues with respect to what I believe right now is a bloated construction budget on the MSCS side of things. And so our new construction team just met, a few weeks ago. And, we heard from representatives from the last high school built in Shelby County, which is Lakeland. And, that high school is bigger than the high school that's planned for Cordova. And that high school was built for $50 million. Meanwhile, the Cordova High School is, estimated at $220 million, I think, right now. And so we want to make sure that we're taking the best lessons from that construction project in Lakeland and applying those lessons to the current relatively outsized budgets for, schools that are going to be smaller in Fraser and in Cordova. So it's to give enough runway room for the new construction team to meet and see what we can do to make sure that we are maximizing taxpayer investment and eliminating all the bloat.
Right. And the dollar estimate that the school system ran over last night at the commission has dropped to some degree from what the original estimates were when it was like over $200 million per school. It's at a 165 million, I believe, in one case. So that the price has started to move down.
Yeah, absolutely. It's moved down. It's moved down, but not enough. But not enough. We still have some more efficiencies that I think can be wrung out of this process.
Right. Also, some discussion in the budget deliberations about the state funding for Regional One coming through, and kind of some indications that in Nashville there was some local opposition to this, perhaps from Baptist and Methodist, the city's two healthcare giants. And you've talked about before your hope that ultimately Baptist and Methodist may see their way clear to actually fund some of the Regional One rebuild. But it sounds like this past year they were pretty aggressive in their opposition to this. How do you overcome that?
Well, I think you got to try to get them to see the, see the vision. And I think right now they're missing the forest for the trees because Regional One does an outsized portion of the uninsured and underinsured care in Memphis and Shelby County. And so we need a healthy public hospital to take care of the population that is in need. And that goes to the benefit of our community, but also goes to the bottom line of these large hospitals and and so forth, and executives that have to deliver return at those large hospitals. So we got to get them to just see that vision, and we'll keep working on that, and hopefully we'll fare better. But no matter what, we've got to make sure that Regional One is around for the next century, because you got to have a strong public hospital, and you got to have many strong hospital systems in an urban area in order to really move forward.
Right. Regional One's first year capital installment got a bit of a haircut from the commission to fund some deferred maintenance projects for the schools. I think it was maybe 5 million. I'm running on fumes here because this meeting, for folks who don't know, ended a little bit before 3 a.m. So I may be a little fuzzy on some figures. But at any rate, Dr. Coopwood, the CEO of Regional One, said that he could live with the lesser amount, which I think is $30 million in the fiscal year coming up. What are your thoughts on that? Because you've said before you want to get the construction on phase one here started and rolling, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we want to try to get something that we can show as a demonstration of good faith this year. And the haircut that the commission brought forward was something that we'd worked many days on with the Chairwoman Clay Bibbs, and Commissioner Whaley. And so that was done in a spirit of collaboration. And I think they were able to thread a really, really tough needle to make sure that, all the priorities stay on track. And that we, do something for the schools that commissioners wanted to see. I mean, keep in mind, the schools have, I think $7 million across 3 years that they haven't used. But there's still money from previous budget years that they haven't used. And so given that, and given that I run a really tight ship, I didn't put any deferred maintenance in their budget until in my view, they had an opportunity to use the unspent money from prior years. However, the commission had a different view, and that's okay. The important thing is that the commission, particularly the chairwoman and Commissioner Whaley, Commissioner Lowry, and many others, really went about the work of collaboration and participated in plenty of meetings to try to see what it would take to get a deal done. And they pulled it off, and they did it in the wee hours of the morning.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. One thing that I didn't think about that I probably should have was kind of the allocation of education funding, because the way this works is the county provides local funding for education. And when it does, it's not just Memphis Shelby County schools, it's for all of the school system, public school systems in Shelby County, based on their average daily attendance, I think is the old term that they used to use. And there were some changes in that, because the new University of Memphis campus schools are a school system that gets an ADA cut of county funding now in what is a system or 8 public school systems within Shelby County. So that was kind of a new wrinkle too, as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But Commissioner Whaley, he's an education guru, and so he was on that from the start, and made sure that the final amendment, the final substitute that the commission voted on, would have that reflected. That we also have now a new school district domain. So now we have three: the MSCS, the municipal schools, and the university schools. And so he brought that to our attention, of course, and kind of guided the way to make sure that that was applicable on both the operation side and the construction side. So
Right.
yeah, absolutely.
Right. Okay. Any final thoughts, Mayor, on another budget season in the books? I believe is this your seventh one?
This is number 6 with no property tax
Number 6.
increase. Yeah, number 6 with no property tax increase, historic raises, and done early. So I'll take it.
All right. We've been talking with Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris about the just completed but continually debated county budget season. I'm Bill Dries, and this has been On the Record.